The situation surrounding Ava Kris Tyson has only gotten worse over the past few weeks, and these are 5 instances where Ava Tyson went too far, from leaving his family to being sexually assaulted. Kris Tyson left his family after 4 years of a relationship while they had a 2-year-old child, and it was all backed up by the post, "I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this way for Tucker." All of this took place against the backdrop of Kris's decision to transition from male to female, at which time she had already begun using HRT, or hormone replacement therapy. Many viewers began to suspect that Mr. Beast's friendship with Kris Tyson would turn tragic, and the loudest was Sunny V2 in his video, "How will the Kris Tyson situation impact Mr. Beast?" And the second Ava Tyson case is also directly related to his gender transition. A user named Fearbuck posted a satirical tweet attaching a photo of Tyson before and after his transition with the caption, "Evil world we live in, man." And it seems that this tweet posed no threat to the public, but as soon as Ava Tyson saw it, he immediately wrote in private messages with accusations that hinted at a lawsuit. Although few people expected it to happen, Fearbuck published a post showing summonses in a civil action. This provoked a lot of rage from the internet audience towards Kris. "There's nothing in the post that calls for defamation, bro. He's an internet personality, and he's bound to scrutiny from everyone on the internet. I'm a hater, not trying to defame him, and he has stuff in his own past that is way worse than anything you said," one of the users wrote. Or, "This is what is wrong with the USA. Sue happy. No other country does this. Who would reward mental illness like this?" And now it's time to bring up Sunny V2's video. That got him a lot of hate from other YouTubers. But now, after a while, we realize he was right.
It's a lose-lose situation for Mr. Beast. I think Jimmy is in an inescapable situation. If he kicks out Kris, cancelled. If he don't, his channel will die for real. An inescapable situation is a pretty good way of describing the drama, which is also why it deserves the harsh label of being a nightmare. Jimmy has no option but to publicly express acceptance of Kris's transition, as silence or even worse, disapproval would come with obvious severe repercussion. If this is the case, Jimmy has no option but to accept this fate, as removing Kris from the videos in any kind of way could create an even more severe media firestorm. The only clean solution, should things go south, might be for Kris to resign himself.
The third case is Ava Tyson's connection with a very strange artist, Shadman, who specializes in obscene drawings of minors. And in 2016, Shadman decided to make a joke of Keemstar and drew his 8-year-old daughter in his signature style, which was condemned by many even at the time. In July 2024, Keemstar published a post on his Twitter accusing Kris Tyson of having an affair with Shadman. And while many people have begun to blame Ava Tyson for commissioning the drawing of Keemstar's daughter, this is completely untrue. It's important to realize that in today's realities, someone like Shadman just wouldn't show up. And even for associating with someone like that in the past, many people can now get a ton of hate. However, Kris Tyson has been seen to be very interested in Shadman. And in one of his posts, he directly asked him to draw an underage heroine of anime from a And also in one of Mr. Beast's videos, we noticed the drawing on the wall that was done by Shadman. Ava Tyson has no connection to Shadman now, but as we know, the internet remembers everything. And so we come to Ava Tyson's 4th sin, namely inappropriate communication with an underage lava fan. A video of Ava Tyson discussing the situation with Belle Delphine has leaked online and has been taken very seriously by many. Ava Tyson was quite frank with him on Discord, but in general, it didn't seem to be about grooming. Various jokes like, "That looks good for a 4-year-old," or jokes about sending explicit photos for subscribing to Patreon. Lava himself took to Twitter with a statement saying, "These videos are massive lies and twisting the truth. Ava never did anything wrong and just made a few edgy jokes. I was never exploited or taken advantage of. Can you do me a favor and comment on these videos and tell them to stop spreading lies?" This situation takes away from children who are actively being exploited every day online. I am not a victim of anything being claimed in these videos or at all, but how much of this is true is still an open question. But in any case, there should not be such a communication between a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old. Ava Tyson wrote apologizing post. However, many YouTubers were very suspicious.
That is kind of a textbook non-apology. It doesn't address anything, it doesn't talk about anything, it's just like this blanket boilerplate statement about stepping away. There's no denial of anything, no claims that some of the information is false, made up, fabricated, a lie, a fib, a bunch of malarkey, nothing at all. You would really think that if any of the information was wrong or faked, that would be one of the first things that Ava Tyson would want to set the record straight on. But that didn't happen.
We learned about Ava Tyson's fifth sin recently, and it's sexually assaulted. On July 27, 2024, a Twitter user named Muskina published a series of posts in which she tells her story of her interaction with Ava Tyson. Ava followed me on Twitter in November of 2022 after seeing my transition timelines on Twitter when I had under 500 followers. And attached to that post was a screenshot that clearly shows the date. We started messaging each other every day through Twitter. She confided in me that she thought my results from HRT were amazing and that she was planning on getting on HRT soon to transition herself. As someone who follows online culture, content, and streaming, I was overwhelmed by emotions with being trusted with this secret and information that I knew would be huge news. As a transgender woman who publicly transitioned a month earlier, I genuinely could not believe something so amazing had happened in my life after I had been through so much. Eventually, we talked about me potentially working for Mr. Beast, and she told me that she was sure she could get me in a video. Ava Tyson wrote, "I will definitely keep you in mind. We do videos where we need people to compete, so if you don't mind sitting in a circle or something, I'm sure we could figure something." She was the most famous person to ever show me that type of attention, and she immediately started love bombing me and making me feel like the most important person in her life. Within the first few weeks of us talking, she told me that she told her therapist about the positive impact I was making on her life, and that she had told her friends about me. She very quickly moved our conversation to Snapchat. Ava asked me to masturbate with her on video call multiple times, and I always felt like I had to say yes if I wanted to be in a video or get a job. On one occasion, she asked me to join a video call and asked me to masturbate, even though she knew I wasn't feeling well, which led me to joining her and then puking after a few minutes. Our conversations always leaned in the direction of affectionate and sexual, and she sent me a lot of sexually explicit Snapchats, messages, photos, and videos. Our relationship was very confusing to me, and I didn't fully realize I was being coerced at the time. She eventually flew me out to her home in Greenville with a one-way ticket, while I was still under the impression that she would be getting me in a video with Mr. Beast. The first night at her house, she told me to set up in her bedroom as I would be sleeping in there with her. I thought that this was potentially the beginning of a relationship. When we went to bed together that night, we ended up cuddling and kissing, which led to her taking her clothes off and asking for oral sex from me. I went down on her, expecting to engage in sex that would be reciprocated, but when I was done, she made it clear that she did not want to return any sexual favors to me. Over the course of the next week, Ava engaged me sexually and ended up receiving oral pleasure several times, but she never reciprocated any sexual favors in return when I was done. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. After almost a week, I was starting to feel really used and confused about everything. While I was there, I found out through conversation between Ava, myself, and her friend that she did not have the ability to cast anyone in a Mr. Beast video. Shortly after that first week, she went on a work trip to Japan and invited someone else, but things did not turn out the way she expected. She was upset and flew back early from her trip, and she also offered me a job as her assistant and offered me to move in with her. I quit my job that month and moved in with her on June 16th and began working that day. I was supposed to start with a 2-week trial. Muskina's post included a screenshot of Ava Tyson writing, "I really appreciate you too and look forward to working with you." Muskina then continued, "During this trial period and my employment, Ava continued to receive oral from me multiple times, and I started to feel like I was being coerced." On July 29th, we were watching TV together alone in her living room. With no warning, prior physical engagement or sexual conversation, she took off her pants and started touching herself in front of me. I had just moved in with Ava and left my job to come work as her assistant. In no way, shape, or form did I feel like I could say no without somehow risking my job or being asked to leave. She used that against me in order to receive non-consensual oral sex. This was the moment that truly broke me for the first time. Nothing was enjoyable. It felt like it would never end, and my entire body just hurt from performing the act. Whenever I became emotional or had an issue with how Ava was treating me, it was always turned around on me, and I was made to believe that if I didn't stop acting that way, or prove that I was okay with everything, that I should move out and not be her assistant anymore. When I moved out, we had an agreement that I would keep my job as a hybrid travel, remote, work-from-home position. When I reached out to Ava after moving out to discuss my schedule for the rest of the month, she informed me that she was already working on replacing me. Ava Tyson wrote, "And then I'm going to try and look into getting an executive assistant who can be here with me and focuses solely on improving my mental health." The end of this story was the Muskina's dismissal and Mr. Beast's own investigation, which was most likely just an imitation. But that won't matter, because Ava Tyson did her best to disappear from Mr. Beast's channel forever and ruin her own career.